I'm about to drop $375,000 on this 5.6 acres of land for Lon to build her organic garden and her zombie apocalypse house. Sounds crazy? It's for real. Check it out. So I got 40 days of feasibilities on this vacant piece of land. So what that means is that in this 40 days, we need to figure out is that can we actually build on this? In my opinion, there should be no reason why we can't build on it because it's zoned as R5, so which means every 5 acres, you can put a house on it. And as you can see, there are houses on here around already. So here's some steps that I'm gonna take is that we gotta get a wetland specialist out here. We also gonna get a well person out here, a septic designer. Also too is we need to go down to the city to actually find out if we can actually build on this. Now the thing with this land here is that's actually put in open space. So the question we need to ask the city is that if we take it out of open space, can we build? Once again, I don't think there's any reason why we can't build on it, but you gotta double check and make sure. And once you get your permit, your building permit, it's actually only good for 1 year. So make sure once you get your permit, the constructions need to start rocking and rolling. But those are just a few steps that you need to take, but there's a lot of details that actually goes into it to make sure that you can actually build on it, okay? Very, very important. Well, let's just say if I was wrong and that you can't build on it. Worst comes to worst, I paid $375,000 for these organic blackberries. Lawns is all about organic now. So the first thing she's gonna start planting once we close on it, blueberries, I think maybe some apples, pears, all kind of vegetables. But she's all about organic. But she doesn't have to plant any blackberries because it's already here. Now before I'm able to do things like this and I own over 14 rentals, is that I have my own wholesaling operations that actually make me 6-figure a month. For those of you who don't know what wholesaling is, I will explain to you in this video. But this works in any city, any states, and anybody can actually do this. You can make between 10 to 100,000 a month, depending on how much money you want to make and how hard you want to work. But let me show you how it's done. So there's many ways to start generating leads in wholesaling, and driving for a dollar is actually one of the way. It doesn't require any cash for you to do it, all right? So all you're gonna do is you're gonna drive around your city, you wanna pick an old neighborhood, and you wanna look for some rundown houses. Houses that are in distress. There's some pictures I can show you. Tall growing grass, boarded up window, bunch of garbage in front of the yard, or maybe broken glasses. Those are things that you wanna look for because the property is either vacant or maybe it's rented and the renter doesn't look after the property. So now you're dealing with a tired landlord. Now here's a property that I'm gonna show you how you can make $20,000 to $25,000 off of, okay? So I'm talking about property just like this. Now once again, this works in any city, any state, and you don't need a license to actually do this, okay? Now this is the kind of house that you want to look for. As you can see, tall growing grass. Look at the roof. Looks like it's, and look at the chimney. I mean, you can see that this property is vacant. Nobody's living here, okay? So what you're gonna do is that you need to carry some paper with you, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna write down, hi, my name is Khang. I'm interested in buying your property. We're ready to make you a cash offer. No risk, no obligations. And then put your phone number, and you wanna put it at the door or wherever that you feel like that people will actually see it. Because a lot of times, even though the property is vacant, the owner live out of states, they don't go and actually take care of the property. But sometimes they have their family member or a neighbor come over and look after the property and they see your notes. Guess what? They're gonna send it to the owner and the owner's gonna call you. Now this has happened to me a lot of time when I first started my real estate journey about 12 years ago, okay? The next thing you wanna do is you want to take down the property address, and then you can go to truepeoplesearch.com. Now this is a free site where you can skip trace to find the owner phone number. Then you want to call them up, make them a lowball offer, and lock this property under contract, and I'll show you what to do next. So one of the biggest concern a lot of people worry about wholesaling is that, well, Khang, once we have the property under contract, what happens if we can't find a buyer for the deal? Well, there's two things that you can do. So number one is you got to understand that in the contract, there's what's called an inspection contingent, which means once you lock the property in contract, the seller will give you X amount of times to inspect the property. And typically for me, when we put a property in a contract, we get at least a 30 to a 60 days inspection contingent on it. So within those time period, if we cannot find a buyer for the deal, then we can call the seller back. One, we renegotiate to get the seller to come down on the price because it obviously was too high, and we ask for more time so we can find the buyer for the deal. And let's just say if the seller don't agree to that, then what we can do is we can just cancel the contract. Now, I'm not giving you any legal advice, but as long as you stay within that inspection period, the seller cannot come after you, they cannot force you to buy the property, and they cannot sue you, okay? Even if you make offer on property that's on the market through an agent, every single realtor knows as a buyer, you have the rights to inspect the property to make sure that you're satisfied, that you're happy before you move forward to close on the property. So, if you have the property in contract, you can't find a buyer, the worst case is you cancel the contract, and just to make the seller happy, you just lose your earnest money deposit. For me, our earnest money deposit with the seller to lock the property in contract is about $250. I could have put $10 in the contract, but I put $250 in there. For a lot of you, if you don't have any money to start, maybe it's a $10, right, to lock that property in a contract, and you just lose your earnest money deposit with the seller. So would you risk losing $10 to make $10,000 or $20,000 on a deal? The answer is absolutely yes. But that is also one of the biggest concerns when I first started in my wholesaling business, because I didn't want the seller to go after me because I didn't want to buy the property or don't have the money to buy the property. Once again, there's many ways to generate leads. Driving for dollar is one of them, but there's what's also called bandit sign. Bandit sign is also very cheap to do. All you need to do is go to cheapsign.com, and you can Google, there's many companies out there, buy about 50 to 100 signs, and you want to find some busy intersection, but old neighborhood. Find some busy intersection and start putting those signs up. And eventually, over time, people are going to call you from the sign. And majority of the people that calls you from the bandit sign, they're pretty desperate, which means they need to sell the property. They're in probably a very bad situation. So majority of the people that actually call from bandit sign will actually willing to take a very steep discount on their property. So if you cannot close those people, you cannot close anybody, my friend. Now, a lot of things that people don't understand about wholesaling is that it requires you to have good communication skills and good negotiating skills. So you need to learn how to close, you need to learn how to negotiate. So I'm gonna give you 3 of my most powerful negotiating questions that you can ask the seller. And if you can ask it every single time, you get the seller to drop 10, 15, 100,000, easy. So here we go. Question number 1, when I talk to a seller, and this is what I train my VA up to do as well, we don't call them by Mr. or Mrs. It's just too formal, it's just distant the relationship. So typically, I like to call them by their name. So I would say, Bob. So Bob, since we are gonna buy the property in an as-is condition, we're willing to do all the repairs, all the work on the property. There's nothing that you have to do. Our goal is to provide you with a hassle-free sale as possible. Now, with that being said, what is the least you're willing to take on your property? And once you say that, you just go silent. You do not say anything. You just listen. The most deadliest thing when it comes to negotiating is silent. Because when you go silent, guess what? It becomes awkward, so the other person has to talk. But the one that does the most talking is the one that sometimes actually negotiates themselves down on price. Now, negotiating question number 2. Well, Bob, now this one, you have to position yourself where you're not giving the treat to them, but it's almost like you're fighting for them. So you're fighting to get the price for them. It's very important, and this is how you position yourself. Is that, Bob, if I can, not saying that I can, but if I can, get my company or my team manager or my partner, however you want to say it, to take care of all your closing costs and all your fees. And what that includes is that we're going to take care of all the excise tax, the transfer tax, the title insurance, the commissions, any commissions, right? Basically all the closing costs that you would pay if you were to sell your property, we would cover all of that. If there's a mortgage on the property, we'll pay off that mortgage as well. So you want to ask them is, what's the least you would consider as a walkaway net to you would be? Boom. So typically when I negotiate with the seller, we do not talk about the purchase price, but we talk about the walkaway. How much they need in their pocket. because a lot of time you will realize that how much they want to walk away with is a lot less than what the purchase price will be. Because most sellers think of a purchase price, they got to pay all these costs, all these commissions and everything like that. So they tend to go pretty high on their price. But when you talk about the walk away, it will come in a lot lower and you'll be surprised. Happens every single time. Now, negotiating question number 3 is that since we are going to pay all cash and we can close on the date of your choice, is that the absolute lowest you will go for us? And when you're able to say for us, now you make it very, very personal. And once again, it's not about what you say, but it's how do you say it. And then after you ask all those questions, you just go silent and watch the seller drop the price, my friend. All right, now once you got the property in contract, here's some ways to actually find a cash buyer for your deal. One is your local RIA. Every single city or state should have a local RIA, and they also have a Facebook group that you can join if you're doing it virtually. Next is Facebook Marketplace. So now when you post on Facebook Marketplace, you do not want to put the house number. Just put like the address, kind of like randomly where it's at in the neighborhood. All right, so that way you can qualify these buyers. So when you put the deal on social media, any buyer that reach out to you, you want to make sure that you filter and you qualify your buyer, making sure that they are legit. All right, next one is Craigslist. Same thing, do not put the exact address, but just put exactly, kind of roughly where the property is located within that street or that neighborhood. So when you get on the phone with the buyer, you qualify and you filter your buyers. And these are some questions you can ask them. Hey, if the number works for you, how quickly can you close? A real buyer will tell you that they can close as soon as title is clear. Typically, no more than 15 days. Because some buyer that will get hard money loan, so they need at least 2 weeks, 15 days for the hard money lender to get all the paperwork done so they can close on the property. Now, if they were to use their own cash, typically they can close as soon as title is clear. The fastest I've closed on a deal was 5 days, okay? Any buyer that tells you they need a 30, 40, or 60 days is typically another wholesaler that wants to tie the property under contract and then daisy chain it and sell it to the end buyer for more profit, all right? And so you don't want that. Next one is network with realtors and obviously other wholesaler so you can JV deals. Realtors is actually a great way for you to find retail buyers. The mom and pop, the husband and wife, all right? The general contractor that looking for their first flip. So they are not your savvy investor that needs that 30 to 40% discount. They're okay with 10 to 15% off on the deal. So they typically will pay you more. Now, wholesaler. Wholesaler is just like you. They're out there, they're building up their buyers list as well. When you're able to connect with other wholesaler, it's called JV deal. You have a property under contract, they bring you the buyer, and typically it's a 50-50 split. Now, it could also work the other way around. So let's just say that you reach out to other wholesaler and they have a property under contract. Well, guess what, my friend? You can help them find the buyer for the deal. So let's just say if they make $20,000 on this deal. Well, guess what? You get a $10,000 cut. Now, in my book, I've actually shared with you many other ways to generate leads, find motivated seller, and find cash buyer. Now, I've put 12 years of my knowledge and experience in over 1,000 YouTube video and jam-pack it all into this one book just for you. I made it where I cut out all the BS. I get straight to the point. I give you all the tips, the tricks, the secrets, and the hack on how to close your first deal, and most importantly, how to do it completely virtual so you can actually work from home. All you need is a laptop, a phone, and internet, and you're good to go. And if you have Kindle, you can actually grab this book completely for free. And for those of you who actually grab the book, here are some free things that I included in the book to help take your game to the next level. I included an ARV calculator, so it helps you figure out what the property's worth. I also included a rehab calculator to help you figure out what the repair cost would be on that house so you can make an offer to the seller. Also, too, I'm going to share with you a recording call between me, my VA, and the seller, the whole entire conversation, how we're able to lock the property under contract and made $30,000 on that deal. Now, if you want to get a copy of the book, just go to WTMbook.com, and if you can drop me a review on Amazon, it'll mean the world to me. All right, if you enjoy this kind of content, be sure to show your boy King Kong some love. Boom, smash that thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the family. Be sure to boom, smash that subscribe button. Until next time, take care, and let's go get this money.